Thanks very much, Chairman. I think there are no apologies, but Councillor Wilson may be experiencing connectivity, so he might be bouncing in and out. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We can have IT check on Councillor Wilson. Now to the SDLP party, to Group Leader Mary Garrity. Councillor Garrity.
Thanks very much, Chair. And one apology tonight, Councillor Paul Blake.
Okay, thank you. And then to the Democratic Unionist Party, to Group Leader Councillor Paul Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. You have Councillor Thompson's apology, and Councillor Buchanan will be joining later.
Okay, thank you very much. And now to small parties or independents, if there are any apologies from those groups. Okay, I'll take the silence as none then. Okay, members, so on to item number 2 on the agenda. Clara Rún Ibrahim, declarations of interest. If any members wish to indicate now, to indicate their declaration of interest. Okay, so I take it at this stage that there are no declarations. Proceeding to the next item, Clara Rún Ibrahim, to consider file for decision by Council on planning reference LA 10 2021 1185 PAD. So we have in the chamber, we're joined by Kim, by Darren and by Paul. And you may notice we have a new person on the system as well, Nigel McCurdy, who is the interim head of regeneration and place shaping. So Nigel's very welcome here tonight as well.
Thank you, Chairman.
And so at this stage, maybe I'll just hand over to our Chief Executive, Alison McCullough. I hand over to Darren Laura for his presentation.
Okay, good evening, members. Just to go through the presentation and give you some details of what's before you. Just to remind you as well that this is not a planning application. Just before you, it's a notification under the permitted development regulations. So it's a notification by an applicant that they wish to carry out drilling boreholes at the site. Members, really tonight, the decision is not whether or not it meets planning policy or whether it needs planning permission. The decision tonight is whether or not you should allow this to go ahead as permitted development, or whether you should say no, they should submit a planning application. So just to clarify that for everybody. Just on another note too, members will have received Appendix 15, hopefully today. It's the Northern Ireland Water comments have been received, and you'll note from them that they comment as follows. So this proposal is located within the Strood catchment, which supplies raw water for Derg water treatment works. It's noted that this proposal is located a long distance from the intake, and there are no indication of any risks from chemicals or pollutions. So their comments are taken as having no issues of concern given the distance from the site. So in terms of the details then of the notification, the site is at the Kevnacaw mine, which is outside of Oma. On the screen then is a slide showing the Dromore Road then, just for members, a general indication of the locality. So out the Dromore Road then, you turn into the right, and it's up in there that the mine site is located. The planning history then is listed within the report, so you can see the approval was granted in 1982 or under the 1982 permission. Then you had a variation of a condition which allowed it to be retained, and then K120373 is a full application for the mine and additional works, and that was also approved then. So those are the 3 general broad planning approvals at the site. In terms then of the boreholes, there has been some previous notifications received and also some previous planning applications approved at the site. So at the top of the slide, you can see the 2 K110674 and K120197 are the 2 previous approvals for boreholes that were carried out at the site. And then at the bottom of the slide, you can see the 4 notifications that the council has received. So the first one, 648, was withdrawn by the applicant. 772 was held in July. At the July meeting there was no direction issued by the council, so those works could be carried out as permitted development. 1109, the notification was withdrawn by the applicant, and 1185 is the current notification that's before you. In terms of the details of the current notification then, the slide on the screen shows the location of the drill sites. identified by the red dots, and then the lines identify the angle and orientation of the drill holes as they then extend in under the ground. The drill hole lengths and locations then are included within the table that's on the screen. You can see the start point then identified in the red box for the drill holes. The end point then shows the location underground then where the drill bore holes will end. And then finally over on the right hand side is the lengths of the holes, and you can see the variety ranging there on the right hand side. Then just to go into some details on that, you can see J9, J10 then. So the start point and end point are on the screen. The drill pad then is the red dot. So that's where the drills equipment will be sited, and then we'll drill down under the ground. So you can clearly see that it's within the existing mine site. There's information included within the notification of the efforts and the mitigation to ensure there's no impact from any drilling from the materials and the equipment that's being used. The others then are 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And you can see again the drill sites where the pads will be, the drill equipment will be sited, are clearly shown as the red dots. And then the angles and orientations of the holes that will be drilled, and the lengths then at the top right hand side of the table. And then again, just to show you the locations again, so you can clearly see the drill sites are all within the existing mine site. The impact upon neighbours is an important consideration in whether the council decides to withdraw permitted development rights or not. You can see on the screen then the drilling will be for 16 weeks. It's from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 in the evening, and then 7 to 1 p.m. in the afternoon of Saturdays, with no drilling on Sundays. And on the screen then is a slide showing the location of the drill holes by the purple star, with the nearest neighbours by the yellow circles. So a considerable distance away. And then you can see the star, purple star, showing the location of the drill holes, with the neighbours then in the yellow circles to the south of the site. The drill rig itself then is, the details are included on the screen, Duralite DL1000. There's detail on the performance, the capacities, the size, the weight, etc. of the drill rig. And it'll be moved around the site. It's a mobile piece of equipment. It'll be moved around the site by a Maruca. The plugs then, when they're, the boreholes have been drilled, they will be sealed with a van roof, cementing and wedging plug. Just to remember, see what that exactly is. You can see on the left-hand side with a red cap, that's an image of the plug. And then below that, you can see then an image then of how the borehole will be sealed using the plug. You'll note from the report, members, that there are a number of listed buildings nearby. Those are shown on the screen then, the listed mill and the bridge further to the southeast. There's a significant distance between the two, and therefore there's no impact on them or their setting. So, members, tonight the question before you is whether or not you want to withdraw the permitted development rights that are available for this development and require the developer to make an application for planning permission. So you can make that direction if you're satisfied that is it expedient that the development or any part of it should not be carried out unless permission is granted on an application. So that allows you to either say the whole thing should not have permitted development rights, or only part of it shall have the permitted development rights. The legislation says that you can make that direction if the land is within or affects a conservation area, natural park, nature reserve, area of outstanding natural beauty, area of special scientific interest, or a site of archaeological interest. And you'll note from the report that the site is not within any of those. B, then, the development either taken by itself or in conjunction with other development which is already being carried out in the area, or in respect of which the notification has been given in pursuance of the provisions of Part 16, so that's previous boreholes, would cause serious detriment to the amenity of the area in which it's to be carried out, or would adversely affect the setting of a listed building. C, then, that the development would constitute a serious nuisance to the inhabitants of a nearby residential building, hospital, or school, or the development would endanger aircraft using a nearby airport. If members consider that it's expedient, because of one of those A, B, C, or D, it's individual ones, it's not all, then they can make a decision to withdraw permitted development rights and ask for an application.
Okay, thank you, Darren, for that presentation. Just before we proceed to any questions, can I just ask again, call in user 5 to identify themselves, please? So again, that's call in user 5, if you could just identify yourself.
Chair, I think that's Councillor O'Coffey, and again, he seems to be having difficulty.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello,
Oh, okay.
Donald Coffey here.
Corleo Coffee, okay. Happy that it's yourself. Okay, very good. Thank you. That's fine, okay. So I'm joined by some of the councillors in the town hall in the chamber tonight. So the first indication I have is from Corleo Podrigan Nicali. So Corleo.
Garamila, Chairman. After consideration of all reports, I believe that this council should indeed change the recommendation and change its position that the council should issue a direction that the applicant does need to apply for plan permission for the proposed works rather than benefit from permitted development. First of all, thank the officers for the report, but I'd like to outline why I believe that it is necessary for a whole planning application with the history of mining boreholes and their legacy it leaves behind. I believe that there is more to explore in terms of environmental impacts, as Paper A Appendix 1 outlines that it was assessed against the habitats regulations and found not likely to have a significant effect on any European sites. To me, this is worrying, as the very fact any effect is mentioned is enough for me. I also know page 8, Appendix 1, Paper A, Part 2C, it notes that there is no noise impact. From the presentation, I believe that there is a possible noise nuisance, considering how close the houses were to the Purple Star. Has there been a survey done? Have we spoke with residents, or have we explored that avenue? Therefore, for the reasons outlined above, I propose that we do issue direction that the applicant should apply for full planning permission for the proposed works, and I make that a proposal, please. Thank you.
Corleo. Next up, I have Corleo Siobhan Vic Curry, Corleo Lanarai.
Carely, yeah, I'd like to second that proposal. I think just particularly around Article 7, and I know we raised these points when we looked at an application on the same site in July, under Article 7 2A, where it says the development is not to be carried out on land which is within or affects a conservation area, national park, nature reserve, and so on. I think without that clarification that a full planning application would bring, we can't be sure of that, and it may well affect, and we had heard previously about the protected bog that is nearby. Also, just in the SES report at Appendix 14, they do highlight the river foil and tributaries, SAC there, which is only 536 metres downstream, and actually that stream I think is referring to is within 500 metres of some of the boreholes. So just on that basis, I think we need to have more robust information on 2B, Article 7 2B, when taken by itself or in conjunction with other development which has already been carried out in the area. It says the proposed works will not cause serious detriment to the amenity of the area in which it is to be carried out. I don't think we know that without a plan and application, without the extra level of detail and actually scrutiny. How do you determine what is serious detriment and what isn't, and is any detriment acceptable? And I think you would need to have that fully out in a plan and application. And 2C, the nearby houses, it says that there are a number of houses nearby. It lists the numbers, and it says these are far enough away that the impacts from the works will not be significant and will not cause any serious nuisance. And I just think that the plan and application would give, again, further clarity and scrutiny, just more detail on potential impacts and necessary mitigations then that would need to be in place. So that's why I'm seconding my co-party proposer. Or Margaret, lost my words.
Or Margaret, Corlior, just at this stage, I'd just like to ask Darren if there's any further comments you would wish to make.
No, Mayor, really just to confirm though that the site in terms of 2A, it's whether or not the site is within land, which is within or affects a conservation area, natural park, nature reserve, AONB, ASSI, or site of archaeological interest. Those are defined within the legislation, and the site is not within any of those, so it's not within them. However, the members are well entitled to make the view that it affects them if they want, but just to clarify that maybe and confirm.
Gurmagad, Darren, yeah, I think that was the point. Sorry if it wasn't clear. Just it potentially does affect it, and the planning application would just give more detail on that. So it's on that basis.
Gormagov. So members, I do have a proposal on the table. Just check with Councillor Patrick and Kelly if you're happy enough to proceed with the proposal as you originally stated it.
Yep, more than happy.
So I do have a number of other councillors indicating, but I am going to take the proposal. It's been proposed and seconded by Corlior Patrick and Kelly and Corlior Siobhan Curry. So I am going to move this now. So are all members content with the proposal? That is to opt for a whole planning application instead of permitted development. So we have some.
No.
No. Okay, so we do have some dissent. So move this to a vote then. Okay, so sorry, before I go to the vote, apologies, Corlior Garrity, you can come in, she has a query.
Apologies, Chair, for butting in, but it's just for clarity before I take the vote on it. Darren, or I don't know if there's any legal team on board. If this council kind of divert from maybe the operations that we used to done, could we be open to legal challenge on that? After you indicated that it wasn't in that side, albeit the councillors made a point where they do believe it could be effective. But is this council leaving itself open now to legal challenge, maybe from this organisation? Otherwise, just before I vote for that clarity, and thank you, Chair, for letting me in on that.
So in terms of the decision before you tonight, members, it's very clear and the legislation is written that you have a choice that you can make, and that's set out in the screen in front of you, on the slide in front of you. It's called up again. So under the 2 you can see there, so you may make a direction under this article if you're satisfied that it is expedient that the development or any part of it should not be carried out unless a variety of reasons, and if members have presented reasons why they think it should not be carried out unless permission for it is granted, that's fine, that's your choice, so I don't anticipate any difficulties. In terms of the issues being raised, they have covered the points and they do refer to A, B, C and D. You but A, B and C were raised and covered. So
Okay, members, so a recorded vote has been called, so we will now be asking you shortly to vote on the proposal by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Councillor Curry. Okay, members, so the vote will now be before you shortly.
Chair.
Okay, so the poll is open now. You have 1 minute.
Okay, members, just to say again, the vote on WebEx is now in front of you. You have 1 minute to vote.
Chair.
Councillor Wilson.
Chair, I think it's Councillor O'Coffey asking how he can vote when he's on the phone, or can he be recorded after this either verbally?
Well, thanks for that clarification, Councillor McAleer. That's already been discussed.
Councillor McElduff,
He's
if you
unable.
could just make your
he's unable
decision
to
now.
vote. Sorry, just members, keep your mics off 1 second. And that's already been discussed. He's unable to vote if using that device.
It's well stage managed tonight, Chair. This is
Completely undemocratic.
hijacking.
Apologies. Colliers, Gomaleshkil, the vote is going on, and
Chair,
I'd ask you all to stay muted. I would just say that they did have the option to come into the council chamber.
Chair, he explained he was at the site of a traffic accident.
I'm still at the site of this traffic accident. I'm not past it yet. It's outrageous.
Okay, council members, again, I'd ask you all to remain muted. It's very distracting for other members who are voting on this proposal.
Well, Chair, you're not allowed
Please
to
remain, Collier McAleer, please remain muted, please. It's the last time.
Is that correct there, that 17 members?
Councillor Swift again, sorry, I would ask all members to remain muted.
Dictatorship tonight.
Jesus, it is surely.
Apology, Gomaleshkil, Arish the Colliery.
They couldn't speak the last night, but now they only want
Last
to be.
warning, Collier McGillier, last warning, or you will be excluded from the meeting. Okay, members, so the votes have been counted and I have the result in front of me. So we have 14 for, 9 against, and 1 not voting. So that proposal is carried 14-9.
Chair, are we permitted to speak now?
So, apologies, Collier McGillier.
You don't need to apologise.
Gomaleshkil.
Speak now.
So I'd just like to thank Darren for the presentation, and just maybe ask him now to summarise, please.
Yes, members, to say the decision tonight was before you was whether or not to withdraw, whether it's expedient to withdraw the permitted development rights. So members have made that decision, what will happen next is that the council will write to the will write out to the applicant and let them know. We also have to write to the department to advise them that, and the department will then have the decision and will come back to the council and let us know their response is, and when we receive that, it'll be forwarded on to members.
Thank you again to Darren and Paul and Kim. So, okay, members, on to the next item of the agenda, Clara Rún Iver Cahir, that's correspondence, item number 4. And we have no correspondence, so moving then on to Clara Rún Iver Cuig, item number 5, any urgent and relevant business. I do have 4 items which were brought to me and I've allowed them to be discussed tonight. So the first one is a matter was brought in by Councillor Anne-Marie Fitzgerald. Gomaleshkil Colliery, please remain muted. So the first item I have, I believe Councillor Catherine Kelly will be speaking on it. So Councillor Kelly, when you're ready.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I'm speaking on Anne-Marie Fitzgerald's behalf because I believe it was herself that brought the other business to you. So there was some press, local press last week about a proposed degradation plan by the Northern Ireland the Fire Service, which would propose cuts which would negatively impact on fire services in Omagh and all the surrounding districts.
Apologies, Councillor Kelly, apologies. Just we have declaration of interest from Councillor Irvine. So,
sorry, Chair, Councillor Elliott here.
And Councillor Elliott as well. So that's 2 declarations of interest that have been recorded. So apologies, and Councillor Kelly can resume.
Yeah, well, I'll just be brief. I believe Anne-Marie was looking for the council to write to the Department of Health to urge them to work with the Fire Brigade Union and any other relevant bodies to resolve the issues and to ensure that Omagh Firehouse retains full-time service in the area so as not to put any of our communities at risk. Thank you, Chair. That's all it was.
Collier. And now I have the Chief Executive coming in.
Thank you, Chair. It's just maybe to make a suggestion in the context of Councillor Kelly's proposal, perhaps also to invite representatives of the fire service to brief the council as to the detail of the proposals. Chair, we could progress both in parallel if Councillor Kelly was content.
Councillor
Yes,
Kelly,
I'm content. Yep, Chair, I'm certainly content with that, and I'm sure Councillor Fitzgerald would be too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a proposal or a seconder for the proposal? I have an indication here from Collier Thomas McGeer.
Gormagan, I am happy enough to second that proposal.
Gormagan. So the next item of any urgent or relevant business is being brought into me by Collier Barra McGillidiv, Councillor Barry McElduff. So Councillor McElduff, whenever you're ready.
Okay, Chair. It's to put something on the council's record that there is a very disturbing problem, social problem that has arisen in Omagh, and there are aspects of this developing in Enniskillen at this time too, as I understand it. Also towns like Cookstown and Monaghan, but I'm going to talk about Omagh. So the problem is that it's a terrible problem, terrible sad, that some people are lying in shop doorways, sleeping rough and begging for money outside shops, businesses, churches and other locations in Omagh. And tomorrow I have taken the initiative of convening a roundtable emergency interagency meeting. There's a great response to it because the statutory agencies and relevant bodies are coming together to assess the problem and then to address the problem together. And the local community is very concerned and disturbed by this development, and local people have been very generous and very supportive and have been offering food, clothing and blankets as well as accommodation in some cases. There's kind of confusion and misunderstanding perhaps of the origins of this problem, this particular problem, and I won't say any more about that. People have been very compassionate and very helpful to those in need. Crucially, then, we need to assess and share information regarding the nature and scale of the problem, and we also need to secure intervention and support from the relevant statutory agencies for those whom we identify as being in need. And the agencies that are coming along to the Omagh meeting tomorrow at 11, which I have convened and will chair, is the Council Community Services, PCSP, Omagh DEA councillors, Chair and Vice Chair, pending their availability, Housing Executive, Western Health Trust, PSNI, Omagh Churches Forum, St Vincent de Paul, Omagh Chamber of Commerce, Omagh Ethnic Community Support Group and Focus. So that's what I want to place on the public record at this time. People are wondering, what can be done about this problem. There are many aspects to this problem. Poverty and is definitely one of the issues at play here, but we're going to compare notes on the nature and scale of this problem and figure out a way to address it collectively. So with putting that on the record, I think it serves a public good. And secondly, then, I would suggest through the Chief Executive that our community planning partnership, which has a remit in tackling poverty, that we take a look at this strain that has developed, this problem that has developed in Omagh at this time. And people are very, very worried about it. And people are down on one knee helping people, offering them food, offering them accommodation, offering them money. And we just need to figure out a way of addressing this problem. Thank you, Chair.
Gormagat, a Collier, So I now have an indication from the chamber from Collier Thomas McGear. I'll let him in now.
Gurmaga Carly and Gurmaga Devara, thanks to Barry for raising the issue. And as he says, I believe it's a slightly larger issue in Oma, but I commend his efforts in bringing together all the statutory agencies to resolve the situation. But just in relation to Enniskillen, I am aware and have had some discussion with the agencies that deal with these issues, and I'm happy that they are progressing the issue. But I look forward to the result of the meeting in Oman tomorrow. So whatever multi-agency approach is taken can be replicated across the district. Again, considering all the very, very difficult issues that may arise at the back of this worrying trend, but just to make people aware that we are dealing with it as best we can. Gurbagat.
Okay, Gormaga de Collier McGear. I do have two other indications from the WebEx system from Councillor McAleer and Councillor Baird. Can I just clarify whether it's on this matter, any urgent or relevant business, the particular matter that was just discussed?
My hand raised about half an hour now, so no, it's not to do with this current issue, no.
Okay,
Nice
fine.
to
So
meet
I'll just
you.
ask, just ask you then if you just don't mind taking your hand down. Councillor Baird, is your hand
No,
raised in
Alec,
relation
there,
to this?
it's not directly related to this. It's a direct item three, but it's not directly. It's an ancillary to that, and I'm asking
Yeah,
for your discretion to hear what I have to say. It's
Well,
nothing to do with.
Councillor, I do appreciate that, but we have moved on. That matter has been dealt with. There was a vote, and the proposal has
Yeah,
went
but
through.
with
So, well,
respect,
no, well,
Chair,
sorry, sorry, that is
you
my
recognise my hand being up.
Councillor, that is my ruling as chair. So that matter has been dealt with, and we've moved on.
Chair,
We didn't permit any
on
further
item-
discussion on it.
Well, apologies. Well, I had a proposal on the
look.
table and I took the proposal. So, okay, we're on any other urgent or relevant business. So now on to the third item, which I have, which is from Collier Emmett McGill-Lear. So, Councillor McAleer, if you wish to come in now on this particular item, I would just note that next week we do have a very relevant agenda item in relation to this, and the council has to decide whether or not or how best it will be represented. So I would just ask you to just be aware of that. There is something next week which is very similar and relevant to this item, but I'll allow you to come in now.
Well, thanks, Chair. You must have sight of the agenda before myself because I haven't seen that, but I suppose that's what happens when we don't get the agendas in advance in sufficient time. No, it's following on from the last night's Spotlight programme, and I'm sure every member in the chamber has watched it. If not last night, maybe streamed it on the iPlayer, or they'll be tuning in at 11:20 tonight to watch it. Very relevant to the biggest threat currently being faced by the people of our district. And obviously there are a number of major concerns being raised by the programme last night. And as you say there rightly, there are a number of potential actions which we as a local council can and shall be taken, hopefully going forward. Some of them obviously need a bit further refinement. I'll be working on these in the background to bring to full council, but one that I think can be proceeded on now and should be proceeded really as a matter of urgency, given the recent call for the public inquiry and indeed some of the disclosures made in the broadcast last night. And that's a proposal that we as Fermanagh and Omagh District Council contact Stephen H. Emmerman, PhD, who is a mining consultant and a hydrology expert, a professor of hydrology from Utah in the States. And we begin sounding out his availability to see if there would be any possibility or any chance that he would work with the council in relation to the public inquiry, because I think his decades worth, I think he said in the programme, maybe 40 years worth of knowledge as a mining consultant would be invaluable to us as a council. We've heard from previously from our own planning department and our council staff that there are many areas where we simply don't have the expertise to deal with the requirements presented by the planning application that Dalradian are bringing to the Sperrins area and the associated matters of that. I think his overall knowledge will be invaluable, but also his specific knowledge of this particular application and this particular applicant, I think would be invaluable at a public inquiry. So I know there'll be people saying, what about the cost tonight, because it's a topic that they don't agree with and it's one they don't want to support, whereas they're happy to support spending money on many other things. including even the providing security to the mining industry at the cost of the public. But I think in making
Councillor, I just
contact-
would be careful of your language there, would not presume intentions of other members, but continue.
No,
bring
Chair,
your
well, there's
comments to a close. We'll just bring your comments to a
Chair,
close,
there's a
Leda
vote.
Halls.
Chair, with respect, I'm the first Sinn Féin member not to be speaking.
Well,
Tonight.
apology.
Isn't it
Look,
for
you
Sinn
do
Féin?
have 20 seconds to
If
finish
you
your.
would
You have
give me
20
the
seconds,
respect,
Councillor.
I would appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep, you have 20
So
seconds.
we have their votes are on record, Chair. People aren't stupid. They know what the people say. How the people act speaks more than how they speak and how they say they're going to act. And I think your own party need to take reflect.
Okay, well, you're just at time there. Okay, thank you, Councillor. So we do have a proposal from Councillor Emmett McAleer to contact Professor Stephen Emmerman. Do we have a seconder for that? Just apology, before we move to seconders, going to bring in Chief Executive here.
Chair, it's just a comment. As you've noted, we have correspondence for next week's council meeting from both the Planning Appeals Commission and also from the Department of Infrastructure on the back of the council's recent adopted motion regarding the public inquiry. So, Chair, in the context of what Councillor McAleer has set out, it may be premature as the council has yet to determine both the scope and how it wishes to be represented at the inquiry. But I think we could certainly investigate on a without prejudice basis. The reality is, if the council is going to procure services to be representing us at a public inquiry, that will have to be publicly procured, and it would be important that we do not inadvertently limit people's opportunity for participating in such a procurement exercise. So I suppose what I'd be saying, Chair, is if Councillor McAleer was content, we could contact on a without prejudice basis to establish Dr. Emmerman's interest in potential participation, but it would have to be in the context of a procurement exercise when the council has determined the scale of the representation that you wish to have at the inquiry. And those are not matters that the council has yet considered.
Okay, Councillor McAleer, are you content with that amendment?
Chair, I think the expertise in this field is probably more important than the expenditure, but given the advice there or the input from the Chief Executive, I'll go for that on a without prejudice basis at the minute. I think he's definitely the best man for the job from what we've seen so far. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Gordon Mogget. I do have an indication here from Councillor Mary Garrity in the chamber. So, Councillor Garrity.
Thank you, Chair. Put me late off again, but I appreciate that. It was just on the procurement that Alison has clarified, and now it's just clarified. I'm content with that. Thank you.
That's perfect, thank you. And I do have an indication from Councillor Robert Irvine. So, Councillor Irvine.
Thank you very much, Chair. I watched the programme as well. I noted there were two experts on the programme. The expert that has been highlighted by Councillor McAleer took a particular stance. I think if this council is trying to look for expert advice, then we should be looking for balanced advice. If we're going for one side, then we have to look at the other side so that we as a public entity can be seen to be fair and reasonable. Again, then I think if we're going to go for one, we should, on a without prejudice basis, contact the other expert that was on the programme, because he seemed to give reasonable advice as well. Thank you.
So you're making that a proposal then, Councillor?
Yes, on a without prejudice basis.
Okay, so I do have two outstanding proposals, one from Councillor McAleer and was yet to be seconded, and one from Councillor Irvine. So do we have a seconder for?
Chair.
I do have Councillor Swift. I do
I
have
had
Councillor Swift on
indicated
WebEx. So
Yeah.
Councillor Swift, come in now.
Guramagat, and it would be nice to have something without prejudice here this evening. This entire meeting, no need for smirking, Chris, because it's not funny from where I'm sitting. It's been North Korea style without a doubt, and I'm not impressed. But anyway, I would like to proceed and move to second Councillor McAleer's proposal. And I hear what Councillor Irvine's saying, talking on balance. But I think later on in last night's Spotlight documentary, it did highlight that the expertise on the second expert was somewhat perhaps discoloured. Now, I would still like to move and support Emmett's and thank Alison for the comments and the advice, because we do need to be progressing, I suppose, as a matter of urgency and having our information fully informed to make the proper decisions on what's right for the area. Gurmagat.
Gurmagat.
Chair.
Okay, so Councillor Eamon Keenan indicating next through WebEx.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to support Emmett's proposal. As he says, it's the biggest threat to face our local area. And one of the speakers had said that this expert has a certain stance. I'd say it's likely his knowledge and experience, which is 40 years in the field. I wouldn't say it's a stance. He's given facts because of his past experience, but yeah, that's what we need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gurmagat. So next I do have an indication from Councillor Victor Warrington. So Councillor Warrington, come in whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Well, I want to second Councillor Irvine's proposal. I, for one, and this might surprise a few of our fellow councillors, I didn't watch the programme last night. We all know that programmes like Spotlight, and I have experience of a Spotlight programme in my own area 6 years ago, which turned out to be totally inaccurate and caused a lot of problems for a lot of people. So certainly I want to support Councillor Irvine's proposal. At the end of the day, we are not in a position to, this is going to be determined by the department with the public inquiry. And I think for a council, for us to, some guy from America, he'll not be coming in at 15 or 20 pounds an hour anyway. I think the cost of somebody like that is going to be astronomical, and I certainly wouldn't be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Next up, I do have an indication from the Chamber from Councillor Mary Garrity.
Thank you, Chair, and just want to say that I support both Councillor McAleer and Councillor Irvine in their proposal. I think, given the programme last night, it was a bit disappointing that such a high-profile issue within our council area could only be afforded such a short slot, which really doesn't even tap the surface of really what's going on up there. But I do think that we did see a glimpse of the strain that is up there on either side. And I do think it would be very important that we did see. I was a bit disappointed there wasn't more objectors when there's so many signatures, but we also seen from a group of people who support the project a room or some looked like a basement full of people. So in the interest of balance and fair to all those people, in particular the Greencastle area, that we do support Councillor McAleer. I wish this man lived a bit closer, but certainly Councillor Irvine's proposal that there is a balanced argument set in. And again, at this time, when we do go to the point that we have to have an inquiry or a presentation made on behalf of this council, it will be going to procurement. And they say at this stage, it's really just a test in the waters. But it would be very rude of us as a council not to respect all those views that came out of that programme last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garrity. Next indication I have is from Collier Tomas McGear. Power Shock and Isha Collier.
Gurmagat Caherly, and like Mary, and again, I take the advice from the Chief Executive that there is something coming on the agenda next week, and maybe that might be a more relevant time to be discussing the issue. But given the discussion in front of us, we've made our position clear on this issue. As a council, we need to be informed on all the aspects of it. Inviting somebody that's going to tell you what you want to hear isn't exactly how you come to a sound decision. So totally in agreement with making initial, without prejudice, invitations to these people to have a discussion with the council. But look forward to next week's letter and response and formal action to be taken after that, I'm sure. Gurmagat.
Gurmagat Collier. The last indication I have, and then we'll be moving these proposals on to votes. The last indication I have is from Councillor Alan Rainey. So Councillor Rainey, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. And at this stage, I want to support Councillor Irvine's proposal, seconded by Councillor Warrington.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. So we do have two proposals on the table. I'm just going to take them in the order, in chronological order. So the proposal by Councillor McAleer, seconded by Councillor Swift, seconded by Councillor Swift, which was to contact Professor Stephen Emerson, one of the experts.
Chair.
Are we all in agreement?
Professor Emmerman, not Emerson.
Emmerman, sorry. So we're all in
Chair.
agreement?
No.
Okay, so we will go to a vote. We'll just begin the voting process.
Recorded.
Okay, we can do recorded vote has been requested.
Chair.
Yes, Councillor Coffey, we have moved on to the voting mechanism now.
I'm going to be, I was trying to get in to speak there for last 5 minutes.
Well, I didn't see your hand raised, but we have
I
now
don't have
moved
a
on to
hand
the
because
vote.
I'm phoning in, Chair.
Well,
I've just been at the scene of a fairly significant accident. I'm sure you'll be reading about it tomorrow, but anyway.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but nothing I can do about it from Town Hall here. So we have now moved on to the vote.
So the poll is now open. Councillor Robinson, if you want to just hit submit there. Councillor Bell.
Okay, members, the results are in, so I do have the vote in front of me. There was 14 for, 6 against, and 1 abstention, so that proposal is carried. Okay, which means that that proposal now is dealt with. So we move on just to Councillor Irvine's proposal, which was seconded by Councillor Victor Warrington, and that was to write to the other experts. So are all members agreed?
Can I clarify just that the proposer
Councillor,
knows
we've
that
dealt with
this guy
your
is already
proposal.
employed
Councillor,
by
we've dealt with your
Dalradian, so
proposal.
he can't work for the council in relation to Dalradian's own public inquiry into their own activities. Is the proposer aware of that?
We've moved on from that, Councillor, so we're now on to Councillor Irvine's. Well, look,
Or
that's
he's just
we've
doing
had the
this
vote.
because he
Sorry,
supports
Councillor, again, you can't speak over the chair. We've had the vote, so just if you just allow us to move on. So Councillor
Shambolic.
Irvine's proposal, which was seconded by Councillor Victor Warrington, all members agreed?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, so then we're going to go to a vote.
Chair, can I ask for a point of clarification, Chair? If you can hear me, I don't know if you can.
Okay, yep. Point of clarification, Councillor Coffey.
Is it being suggested by Councillor McAleer that the person which we're going to write without prejudice in the second case is actually acting on behalf of Dalradian, the applicant in this case? Because that would be a conflict of interest, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor, we can't deal on accusations, but no, we have moved on to this proposal by Councillor Irvine. So we are now Gomalash Gael Corlery erased, but while I'm Shib dust. So we'd like you all to remain
Chair,
muted. We've moved on. Are all members agreed? There was dissent on. There was the Councillor McAleer. Councillor McAleer, last warning, Councillor. So we'll now, we'll now take a vote.
Does Councillor
Can IT please
Does
mute
Councillor
Councillor
Irvine
McAleer?
know his
Please
dissent?
mute Councillor McAleer. Remember, the last warning has been is issued. You will be evicted from the meeting if this pursues. So we do have dissent from Councillor Irvine's proposal, so we'll move to a vote.
Sir, this is absolutely shambolic. He doesn't even know the text, Chair. He doesn't know
Councillor, you've had so many opportunities here tonight, and you've abused my position as chair. I've been very lenient with you, so if you just would remain silent, your last warning has been issued.
The proposer can't even answer the question.
IT, I'm very sorry. Can we please, Councillor McAleer must be evicted from the meeting. I'm sorry about that.
That's
Councillor-
disgraceful.
Chair, this is an absolute disgrace.
Members, this is, you know what's disgraceful is, what's disgraceful is speaking over the chair when we all know the rules around how meetings are carried out. IT, sorry, Councillor McAleer needs to be removed.
Remained mute the last night, and now you're trying to claim the glory. What is going on with your party, Chair?
Moving onwards to the vote on Councillor Irvine's proposal that we contact with experts on this issue. Okay. Both experts.
Chair, Councillor Thornton, I'm not actually getting any voting.
Sorry, the vote mechanism is just being started now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay.
No problem.
Poll is now open. Councillor Feely. Councillor McElduff, if you want to make a decision.
Okay, members, the voting results are in front of me. We've had 12 for and, sorry, apologies, 18 for and 4 against, so that proposal has been carried, and we will now write to both experts. And so, members, moving on then to the very last item of AOB, which was from Councillor Eamon Keenan in relation to the £500 payment for HSE workers. So, Councillor Keenan, whenever you're ready, you can come in.
Eamon, can I just ask, Cahirla, can I just ask for clarification? Has Councillor Emmett McAleer been evicted now for the rest of this meeting?
He has been excluded from the meeting, Councillor Swift, as a result of his continued interruption into my chairmanship. So, yes, he has been.
That's what you will be remembered for, Cahirla, as having evicted and thwarted a democratic process of a man who has been elected by the people of his area to speak on this
Equally, Councillor, I have been elected, and I've been chairing this meeting, and he has continued to disrupted me. So, I would hope that you would not carry on in the same vein. So, we now have Councillor Eamon Keenan. Can you please come in on your matter, please?
Well, I've been contacted a lot recently from domiciliary care workers, and that haven't received the £500 payment that was to go towards that social care workers. I think the fact that there was millions of pounds paid to the businesses like the Royal County Down Golf Course during COVID, I think it does feel like a kick in the teeth to many of these frontline workers, because they were the ones, they were the people that put themselves and their families at risk in order to provide and to care for the most vulnerable in our society. So I'd like to propose that we write to the Health Department to call for these payments to be made to all workers that are eligible for them for the Christmas period. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Just to clarify, writing to the department or to the Minister of Health? Or just to the department and the Minister then? Okay. So,
Sorry, yeah. Write to both of them, yeah.
Okay, so just to the Department of Health and Minister. Okay, so do we have a seconder for that proposal?
Chair, can I second it? Is Councillor Kelly here?
Yeah, Councillor Catherine Kelly seconded.
Yep. That £500 pound payment, if I could just have a minute, Chair.
Yes.
The £500 payment was announced in January and it's now October. And it's really unacceptable that these hard-pressed workers have been left behind in receiving this payment. So I fully endorse Councillor Keenan, his letter to Minister Swan and to the department, urging them to get that payment out as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kelly, for your comment there. So are all members agreed on the proposal that we write to the Department of Health and the Minister to expedite these payments to the military care workers? Okay, unanimous agreement. So that proposal has been carried. Okay, members, so that brings us then to the end of tonight's meeting. Again, thank you all for your cooperation. We did start late due to technical issues. So at this juncture, I would just like to wish you all a very happy Halloween.
Chair, just a quick point of order, Chair. Sorry, Chair.
I'm not allowed. The meeting has we've moved on. At the end of the meeting. So
it's just a quick point of order, Chair. Yeah. Councillor McKeon, very quickly, just very quickly.
Okay, well, I'll allow you in very quickly then, Councillor.
Right, Chair, it's just to speak very, as a member who sat through this meeting, I want to comment briefly on the behaviour of some councillors during this meeting and the action that you were forced to take tonight, which is obviously covered by standing orders, to maintain a smooth flow of a meeting. I hope that's not the way that meeting is going to continue, with chairs being completely shouted over. It's become a theme in the past. It makes it very, very hard to focus on the content of the meeting, and it makes it difficult for you, Chair, to get the meeting completed. And it is regrettable that you were forced tonight to take the action that you had to take to maintain the flow of the meeting. But Chair, well done. Listen, and hopefully this won't be a theme in the future.
Thank you for that, Councillor McCann. Well, unfortunately, I was forced to implement Standing Order 25.4 when asking members to leave the meeting after continuously behaving improperly and interrupting the chair. So thank you again, Councillor McCann. Well, as I was saying, wish you all a very happy Halloween. Ihe haina fwy
Alex Baird here.
What's the Shilong might fi shib soltus sup as and Dara shocked in the show. Okay, members, so at 8:39 we're calling the close to the meeting. Good night to everyone and safe home to everyone living in a Skilling town tonight.
Chair, thank you very much.
Slán.